UberEats is paying for the car. And they would give me a paper bag. And I realized, okay, how about this? Let me use this as an opportunity to get some clients. Maybe it'll be funny and weird. Bro, you gave me a business card. So what I would do is I would drop the business card inside the bag. So hopefully when they get the bag, they will see like, oh, that's weird.
Look at this guy.
This is weird. This is a hustler, right? Or whatever. He's probably doing very well for himself.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Manny Talks. This is going like back to back for the past week, so I'm super excited for the guest that we have here today. He's a good friend of mine, but not only that, now he's been in the industry of real estate consistently for years, and that's one of the things that I literally admire about him, because no matter what other opportunities or what other things come his way, he actually has been able to stick to just real estate for the past few years since he started his entrepreneurship journey. And now he's closing big deals. He's going all in as an investor and doing some great things. So I want you guys to get to know him, his story, and everything he's been through, because I feel those failures and that journey could influence you and help you a lot. So welcome to the podcast, Ryan Valle, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm How honored. You feeling right now, bro?
I feel with that entrance. Who can feel bad? Honestly, I feel like a gladiator. But thank you, man. I'm just trying to, I've never done this before, but
your first time doing a podcast?
This is my first time.
Okay.
And
I'm excited.
I'm just trying to add value. Hopefully this goes.
It's gonna go.
I know it's gonna go extremely well.
There's no hopefully here, bro. It's gonna fucking be amazing.
Amen.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm happy to have you here, bro. Again, we've been friends now for a few years, right? And let's just pick back up on what we were talking about, right now, and it's the podcast, right? First time you do a podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Crazy. I never done a podcast before where it's like this, right? This is the first time we actually, some of us will start doing it. And
we've done this many times, just with no...
Exactly. Like we do like a lot of conversations, obviously going back and forth, ideas, like brainstorms, but we never put it in camera.
We always say, man, we should capture this.
Yep. So it is insane. I mean, I can tell you, like I've been filming now for a week since I got back from Dubai. And it's been insane, the amount of value, bro. What I was telling you before is like the relationships that we're building, like the contacts, the everything, because you get to add value to people up front. Mm-hmm. No expectations. I just tell people, hey, bro, people that I really want to have in here, it's like, come over, let's just chop it up. Mm-hmm. Let's talk. Let's see, about your story, where you've been to, do all of that. And it's like, bro, it just grows into so many opportunities. It's insane. So I'm glad to have you here. Super happy for you.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm honored. Thank you, man.
Of course, bro. Of course.
So the invite.
Let's talk a little bit about your story. Let's start there. Let's get the audience, people to know a little bit about who's Ryan. Mm-hmm. Where have you been to? Let's take us back. I don't know, 5 years, 7 years. A little bit about yourself, your come up, and what do you do now?
Bueno. I think you know most of it, but out of high school, obviously, when you come out of high school, you feel like you're gonna become president, astronaut, and be a gold miner all in 2 weeks. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, but I knew it was something around sales, and I knew in my gut I had to do something about real estate, because I've always liked and enjoyed real estate, always enjoyed it, because my family's always, they never got big on it, but they've always done something about it, and I've heard a lot about it. My upbringing was close to around that. So out of high school, during high school, like those last years, I started meeting or catching up with a friend from George Durant.
George, bro.
Hey, shout out to you, George, man. You've sparked
he
so
put
many
us
things.
all on. Listen.
He's like the Godfather from like decades ago. And when I met him in like an elementary, and then a decade later, I see him in high school. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And then he started teaching about the trading and stuff like that. And he started thinking, I'm like, oh, I want to. So we rekindled the ¿cómo se llama? The relationship. Mm-hmm. And this is around the time that we were talking about, hey, let's start getting into real estate.
Yeah.
And we don't need a license. We just start doing wholesaling. This is like 2016.
What was it called? What was the company called? Don't tell me. What was it? Royal something? No.
No, it was...
bro, I have it.
It wasn't that one.
Okay.
It wasn't that one, because nobody it's a program.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know. Okay, Fortune Builders, some stuff like that. No, it was not Fortune Builders.
Okay, what was it?
It was Cody Spurger.
Oh wow,
Cody Spurrier it's a funny gringo American guy. The course back then was like $300, and that's how we started.
Okay.
And you do in that business, you're just trying to get properties on the contract to sell the contracts. You have with no intention of buying, because at the time we didn't even have money to buy any real food, or like go out to restaurants, stuff like that. So we finally find something. I don't know if I forget it. It's a duplex by City Casino, Miami Magic City Casino. And we're like, yes, yes. You know what I mean? It's like euphoria of like, yes.
First deal is in.
The first deal is in. We're going to make a bank. We're going to make a killing. I'm already calling my mother. Like, yo, listen, you're going to get retired.
Wow.
Send me a picture of the Rolex. It was a pink with gold. And I'm like, yo, obviously, like, And then, man, these people. And then I found the buyer through a family member of mine. I think my aunt found me 2 attorneys.
Okay.
Man, those 2 attorneys beat us up.
Wow.
They beat us up. We had a property on the contract for $195. And we were selling it for $225. We were like, all right, that's $30,000.
Boom.
At
This
18,
is what? Now high school time?
This is we just got out of
Right
high school.
after
And
high
I'm going
school.
to his house, and we're just there going on Craigslist.
Figuring out what to do.
Figuring it out. Calling. Like, I remember the first time I called an investor, and I felt like I was I feel like I was asking a girl on a date. It felt like and when we finally did it, it was like, oh, is it? And then I remember that, and I remember where it was and around what time, and it's funny because now they're having the conversation, the memory
brings back, it brings back a lot.
And man, we got on the contract $225, but then obviously with experience. These people had a lot of experience. We didn't have any experience. And obviously naive for you to believe that everyone has your best interest at heart.
Everybody's ready to help you. They all care about you.
They want to open the world. I'm like, wow, these guys are so nice. But what they did was taught us a lesson. So we finally go on the contract. I tell them everything that was going on with our contract.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, wholesaling is basically he has a house. I want to buy it. We go on the contract, and I just sell the contract, the rights to the contract. That's it.
Yeah, so you don't touch your property.
I don't touch the property.
And it's just the middleman between the house. I am a middleman.
Okay. But between this middleman, there's a deposit in which, so there's actually some money at play.
Yeah.
So I could actually lose it. And he knew that. Not him, not the owner, but the buyer. And the buyers are 2 attorneys, and it's like these 2 kids, and like, jamón.
Me lo voy a jamar.
So, and we tell him everything we shouldn't have told him, thinking, and hey, we're gonna be doing deals forever, blah blah. So they go on the contract 3 days before we're supposed to the contract becomes hard, and they're supposed to move forward, and we've already spent $30,000, which is a stupid mistake.
Okay.
We never made it, and we never made it $30,000. And 3 days before, no, there's a problem with the FPL leader. And I'm like, okay, it makes no sense, but whatever. We need to be at 215. All right, so $10,000.
It starts dropping. No.
George can prove to this. And I'm like, George, that's still $10,000 each. You know what I mean? Come on.
It's still money.
When's the last time you made $10,000? I see that now. How one. So I'm like, all right. And then 2 days before, there's a problem in the back unit. Blah, blah, blah.
All of that.
So, and then he dropped it out again to 205.
It keeps dropping.
So $10,000 more. And I'm like, hey.
Listen. We need to break even, bro.
Listen. $5,000 each, bro. It's not bad. Not bad. Because by this time, we couldn't back out of the contract. We would lose $3,000 in deposits. So they knew this.
Yeah.
The day of hey, that's it, right? We're not
ready to close.
No, not ready to close. They're ready to move forward.
Okay.
The contract goes hard. Inspections have been done. They go, bro, I'm so sorry, man. Me pintan un dibujo. And I'm like, man, I already knew it. The moment they called, he said, hey, man. I'm like, I started learning very fast. Every time this car goes, I'm losing money. He's like, bro, I'm sorry, man. I can't do this deal like this. I'm going to have to be at 197.
Wow. And you guys got it under contract for 195?
So how much did I make?
$2,000.
You
gotta be kidding me.
The deposit was $3,000. I had at risk $3,000
to make $2,000.
That's the perfect investment. And we had to split that $2,000.
Yeah,
imagínate, less than one. And we had to split that with my aunt. So really,
so you, George, and your aunt.
Yeah.
$2,000. Okay.
You never had one slice of ham, and
You're
you're like,
like,
all right, this is
everybody
one
needs to
slice
get
of
a
ham.
piece.
This has to be enough for everyone.
Yeah.
And after that, I realized, man, at the moment, I felt like it was oversaturated, that market of wholesaling. You know, let me just get my license. Unbeknownst to me, you know, you only know in the past that was the perfect time to start. And me and him naturally had a gift for doing these type of things, these type of deals. People would like doing business, even though we were young. They, for some reason, trusted us. They trusted us, or they saw themselves in us when they were younger, in a way. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just get my license. So I got my license. Family members helped out in the first year, 2 years, like to get some relationships, some deals, but never made more than 20 grand a year off being a realtor. And I'm like,
how many years were you a realtor for?
I still have a license, but as a full-time realtor, I haven't been a full-time realtor in like 3-4 years.
Okay.
Right. And I was in it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna become a realtor. But my idea was I'm gonna start just working with investors. I'm gonna find investors, and I did. And one of the ones that I started with, for some reason, are still with me today.
Around.
So if you're gonna see this video, you already know who you are, and they're still with me. And I've been able to, like, the relationship has grown into more of like a partnership and a friendship, and like I can count on them not only to business but for life advice, which is always what I wanted. And man, I started there, and I would close 1, 2, 3, 4 deals a year. Anybody who does real estate knows that's not enough to live off of that.
And the driving around, right? I remember it used to be driving around so much.
Yeah,
like
bro.
the showings.
Man, like I would drive around the Sun Pass.
It adds up.
And then I was doing Uber at night.
Wow. Look, I didn't know this.
I was doing UberEats at night en la calle 8, la 122.
Coge.
Where there's Perro Loco. It looks like a Los Verde.
So you were there doing Uber
I was
Eats.
there at night, and I remember they would give me the food. I was smart. They would give me the food at un cartucho. Back then, when Uber Eats did it, now every food that's given through Uber Eats, they seal it. You know what I mean? So there's no like...
What, were you stealing the fries, bro?
If I had to wait more than 5 minutes, I got a few fries. 10 minutes, I got the fries. 15 minutes, the food is mine. All right? You had your problem. There was one, que era un bistec empanizado. And
You're like, I
went to
dinner
Dolphin
here.
Mall, and I dropped it off, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. 15 minutes. And I'm like,
crazy.
God.
So you're doing Uber Eats right now and working as a realtor.
Working as a realtor. And they
No
would give me
money
the bag.
coming in, basically no deals.
Oh no, Uber Eats is paying for the car. And then, and they would give me a paper bag. And I realized, okay, how about this? Let me use this as an opportunity to get some clients. Maybe it'll be funny and weird.
Yeah,
Be like, bro, you gave me a business card. So what I would do is I would drop the business card inside the bag. So hopefully when they get the bag, they would see like, oh, that's weird.
Look at this guy.
This is weird. This is a hustler, right? Or whatever. He's probably doing very well for himself. You know, doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I took it a step further. I'm like, let me take a stapler. Because maybe they just don't see the business card.
And a stapler.
Let me roll everything together, staple the business card, so if they have to open it, they're gonna see it.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while, and man, one day at FIU.
Do you get any leads from there?
Not one.
No.
Not one.
Okay.
Not one. But the money that I did make was shortly lived. The little that I made it through Uber Eats, because in FIU, like 1 o'clock in the morning, I was giving McDonald's to someone, and I backed into something, and the car shut down. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna be here $6.50, and I gotta pay like $700 to fix this car. I'm like, this is a great investment.
Right.
So after that, I'm like, this can't continue.
Okay. So what did you do after?
After that, I kept with the real estate. I try to, you know, and during this all time, I was in school as well, right? I didn't really know what I was doing. This is around.
I remember, bro. For the longest you were going to school.
I was going for 4 years for a 2-year degree.
Wow.
I took 2 years of marketing, and then towards the end of that, I realized you don't learn marketing in this stupid school. So I switched to like, you know, like usually when you switch majors or something, you're like, think of it like a house and you just go to a different room. It's similar, but you go to a different room. I went from like this house
to like
to the house down the street. It's a whole nother. It was construction. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Since I like real estate, and this is more, I'm getting more into real estate, I'm gonna become a GC, right? So that eventually I can start doing
your company and all that
and stuff. And I knew I was always gonna invest, but you always need some money to invest or resources. And I'm like, all right, let me do that. And I learned a lot of stuff in construction. I have an idea, but not enough still. And during that time, I was having doubts in myself. During that time, I'm like, man, I'm young. Real estate is not working out. It's already been 2 years, and my dad, as much as I love him, he would add a lot of pressure to me. He had a lot of pressure. He would, like he would make me feel like
Ryan,
man,
go get a job, bro.
Yeah, no, not like that. I'm like, ¿qué tú haces? Te sobra el tiempo. And over time, like, it's just, it gets to you. So you're like, fuck, this is not working. Can I curse you?
Yeah, yes.
All right, fuck, I can't. This is not working. And I started applying to construction jobs as like to be like a surveyor or something. I'm like, okay, I'll make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, right? Out of this degree or whatever. And then from there, I can start maybe do real estate as a part-time. I applied to like 6 jobs in person.
Okay.
And I will go. I was like, hey, come on, look at me, come on, man. Everybody's old as fuck. Come on, bro, there has to be something I can do here. Sorry, man, we're not hiring. Sorry, man. I'm like, man, nobody fucking wants me, bro. I'm literally offering jobs.
What am I gonna do with my life?
Listen,
no job wants me. Real estate
I'll just come here,
money.
give you guys my energy. You guys can pay me in food or whatever, or give me some pats in the back, and then I'll do that. Nothing. And I'm like, all right, just go back to real estate.
Wow. So you tried to actually get a job.
I tried to leave. I've tried to leave many times, and I was like, you always fall back. I think 20 years from now, I'll be like, yeah, so it was all meant to happen.
Yeah.
As I'm seeing it now. And then I just went back, and this is around the time that year when I started getting more comfortable with real estate. I started really understanding a little bit more, but I still didn't have the amount of clients that you could actually live off of, like comfortably. The pandemic started to happen, and from the beginning of that year to like the middle, I'm like, man, this is not working. This is obviously not working. This is when we had the conversation. Yeah. This is when we had the conversation. And I'm like, man, it'd be nice if I was a realtor, a lender.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this. Like, you need more sources because you're like, I need to make money. We sat down. It's like, bro, it's better just to keep on focusing on what you're doing, one industry, and like kind of like figure out how many, how all the sources of income within what you already know. Because if you start doing all the things, like.
I feel like if you go too far out of the house, like you can be in the house, you go to different rooms. But if you're too far out, like you don't know the house entirely. So I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of your advice. And I'm like, all right, let me become a lender. And then I realized, man, lending is harder, but it's much cooler at the time. It's much cooler. And when I started lending, at the time, rates were really low, so everybody was doing loans. So I kind of caught the wave. I'm like, At that time, everybody who started doing loans, they were bostros. They were.
We actually had we had Joel here yesterday. Yeah, and he was talking about the loans and the company he's building and all that. So it's amazing because I know you met him too. You kind of
we kind of started the same. I probably started a few months before him, and man, that kid took off in a whole nother direction that I never thought it was possible. But still, we still have the same loans has a shelf time. You're not, I feel like I always saw loans as an opportunity for me to make more money. But for me to learn, like real estate's 2-part. It's the physical and the non-physical. I knew the physical enough. Okay. I didn't know the non-physical, which is the money and the lending and how to become bankable, how to get these type of loans for these properties. And I was always very curious, always with the intent of like, hey, I'm going to get these skills that I've learned and apply it to what I'm doing now. And I can stand on my own 2 feet. I did loans for a few years.
Wow.
I was there for 2.5, 3 years. Bro. Yeah, man. Time flies. And I was rookie of the year. I got, I was moving forward a lot. I was making 3-4 times the amount of money that I was making in the middle of the pandemic. 3 or 4 times the amount of money that I was making years prior with very little experience. And I'm like, okay. What I didn't know at the time, it was everybody was like, this is like, it was like a growing phenomenon, right? Like a monkey with the one hand had like 4 loans. So like, it wasn't that hard to get loans. So
this is COVID, right?
This is middle of COVID. This is pandemic. This is when
money's out there. They're printing more. Everybody's
getting SBA money, and people are using SBA money to buy homes. Between me and you, and they weren't supposed to be doing that. But hey, la vida es corta. Life is like that.
Hey, at least some people bought homes. Some people just blew it. You know what I mean?
Some people just blew it. They bought Lamborghinis.
Whatever. But the point is, COVID was, the loan business was going pretty well. You were doing okay. We were doing good. What comes after that? What comes after the loan business?
Got it. So after loans, I don't know. I was having like a quarter life crisis. And I'm like, man, I'm making money, but man, like I feel like there's a wall. And when you're doing loans, there's a lot of guidelines and regulations, and you have a lot of people looking at you.
Compliance too, right? You was telling us about that yesterday.
Compliance and rules and laws, and since you have a license, you're supposed to know everything. And it became to the point that
stressful. Would you say?
Yeah, I gained weight. I've never been fat, and at the time I was chubby, and I'd never been chubby.
So once you're stressed, you couldn't handle it, huh?
The stress was because I've always wanted to complete. Like you work with me, this is getting done. But sometimes naiveness. Sometimes some things are not in your control, and I would force them, and then sometimes they would break. Yeah. And you're trying to complete so much with your word that you overstretch it to the point that, man, like,
Yeah, some things are out of your hands.
Some things are out of your hands, but I wanted everything in my hands. But man, like, and then I would realize, man, this is not a life that I want to live, because then I would see everybody who did loans. Yeah. And I'm like, they make good money, but they're still here. If they leave right now, they have to come back here. A lot of people try to leave and they always come back here.
A job.
This is a job. And I thought it was, at the time, I was like, man, this is a good business. Not a business. It was a job. It had the pitfalls of a job and the stress of being self-employed. Because usually when you have the stress of a business, you have the upside of like money,
the lifestyle, the traveling, the freedom.
I didn't have any of that. We went on vacation, but like it was always like,
you were on the phone like 24/7.
I had one finger there. I never traveled. And I was talking about this a little while ago with my girl, that I feel like a vacation is an escape from reality or where your world is. At the time, I was taking a lot of vacations to escape.
Actually, now that you said this, I heard this the other day, and they say that a vacation, a tourist, right? If you're going somewhere, you're a tourist. You're escaping from reality, and they recommend when you travel, go become a traveler. What that means is experience where you're going, because there's no reality that you need to escape from. That is your everyday life.
100%.
So it goes back to like you have a job, right? 40 hours, 60-hour weeks. Then when you take a vacation, you kind of like escaping, trying to leave all that behind, which still follows you, because I remember you're always on the phone, this and that. So you're escaping from that reality. And it goes to like the other side of the coin. When you build a business, it's sustainable. You can, build the systems around there and all of that. You don't need to escape from anything. Like you traveling, that's your reality. Like you can still handle business when you travel. So you get to enjoy more what you're doing, because there's no need to escape from anything.
With less energy.
Boom.
That was your quote as rings on my ear every day. But I was telling her about that, and I'm like, a lot of vacations that I've taken, a lot of them have been fun. Most of them, obviously, you don't take a vacation that's not fun, but it's fun. But I feel like one of the few times that I actually traveled. Yeah. And the difference from what I saw is kind of similar to what you said. A vacation is like watching a movie. And traveling is like being in the movie.
Boom, being present, enjoying the culture.
You're with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
You're like, este bote está incredible. And I'm like, and when I went to Italy, I was there, man. I was thrown with a family who only spoke Italian. It was in a weird area that is not famous at all. I lived in their house, and I just felt so...
Yeah, you're in there.
I was so immersed.
100%.
And I'm like, man, I want to do more of that. And that's why I was like, okay, I need to do a business, or I need to get into a business that has high margins, and it's closer to what I feel I've always wanted to do, which was what I'm doing now.
Still real estate.
Well, it's still real estate, but the way that I was doing it when I started, obviously not at a higher scale. And now, from being a realtor to a lender, I learned both of those sides. Now we are actually investing.
Boom, congrats, bro. I heard you closed a pretty good deal.
Now we're closing another deal.
Yeah, I know you got some things in the works. So I'm really proud of you. One thing that I wanted to ask you is, what made you make the decision to say, fuck loans? This is making me money. Yeah. But it's like I wanna like dig deeper in there, because people don't realize it's like you need to make a decision to step out of your comfort zone to go into a zone that you could thrive at, right? Loans, you could have just stay there for the rest of your life, still make good money, right? Handle the stress, build systems. We talked about it a few times. but you would have never taken that leap of faith into becoming an investor and having the lifestyle that you have right now. What made you do that?
I feel like sometimes when you don't make a decision, someone or a higher being is going to make a decision for you. And you may not like the way it comes out. At the time, there was, I was having personal issues with, life and business and, that story. And I feel like that kind of started the process of like, you've outlived your time here. I don't know if that makes sense. Like sometimes when you're in a relationship, you feel like sometimes like,
yeah, it was kind of like a little something that to tell you, hey, you're pretty much done here.
You're done here. There's no, don't blame it.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it, but it did its job. The job is over. You have to start thinking of like, okay, because I never, that's why you would ask me sometimes like, hey, you own a mortgage company? And I'm like, no, I'll never own a mortgage company. Like that. You make a lot of money, but it's peanut and the same thing. So, and if you ask Joel, probably not, honestly. Maybe his model's a little different, probably a little better. And more freedom and flexibility, but still, it's still very stressful. And then, and I'm like, man, what can I do? I'm like, I could always go back to going investing and stuff like that. Because I've always been like, the biggest problem for me was believing that I could be an investor.
Believe you can fly. Don't jump, but like you gotta believe.
Swallow. One day you will. And that was the biggest problem. I always saw myself as, because I thought of being a realtor and being a lender. You're in real estate. You're not in real estate. You're around the real estate. You're outside the party. You can hear the music, but you're not in the party. And I think Pace Morby.
I called you right after the event. I couldn't hold on. You remember?
Yeah.
At the event, he said, if you guys don't know Pace Morby, you just follow him on IG. The guy has amazing information. We're gonna go in depth about that now because I want to educate people on that as well. But he said, I went to an event, Break the Code, right, from Alex Morton. And he talked about real estate and all of that. And one story that really caught my eye, caught my ear, I was like, I got to call Ryan. I got to let him know he's not in real estate. I swear to you, bro, the first person that came to mind is you. Because he said, and this is a story. I mean, it's not perfect, but for what I recall, this is the lesson. He was a contractor. He was working for this lady that had a few projects, right? He goes to do, the investor. He goes to do one of the projects, and the lady, he's awesome at what he does, but the lady tells him, as a friend, he steps out, the project, and they're in the truck, he's about to catch in the check for the project. The lady tells him, you need to get involved in real estate. And the guy goes, Pace Morby goes, I'm in real estate, I'm a contractor. And she's like, no, you're not in real estate. I call you, there's a job to do, you come do it, I pay you. I'm in real estate, you work for me.
And,
bro.
And then the last thing she says, that's the most important part. You're like a commodity. I could change you in a second.
Yeah, boom, like this.
And that is what I've always struggled with. I'm like, bro, as a lender, you always have fierce competition. And I've always strived myself into be like, I have great service. And you could always count on me. But man, like it becomes to the point that you just become a commodity. In this,
it clicked for me. It clicked. I was like, I gotta call Ryan. You're not in real estate, bro.
You called me and I was in Olive Garden. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
I remember that call.
Yep.
I was in Olive Garden.
Cause that's how I am, bro. It's like cause a lot of people don't say those stuff. Like a lot of people hold back when it comes to like calling out, friends and people around you. You know what I mean? Like if I see something wrong, I'm gonna call you out on it. Like if I know that I got the information that could help you, I don't care if you're gonna hate me for it. I'm gonna call you out. And I feel
thank you for that.
Bro, that helps, bro. And it's something that obviously I respect a lot from friends around me. It's like, yo, I can make mistakes. I can be wrong. Call me out. Like, that's what we're supposed to do. You know what I'm trying to say? And bro, when he said that, it clicked. I'm like, yo, I got to let you know. You remember, and I think you even got his mentorship, right?
At the time, I feel like I was getting it, or I was like about to. And it was, the stars aligned.
And then you make the switch. You're like, boom.
This is around the time that I had that deal, and I was like on the fence of like, would this be a one-time thing, or can this be the jump start of like, all right, fuck this, I'm going balls to the wall. It's in God's hands.
Boom.
And that call with the mentorship and all that stuff, I'm like, but let's put that chapter to end, because sometimes I feel like.
So how was the transition? Like. we talked about this. You know, you're in the loan business.
Mm-hmm.
How was that transition? You have a deal going on. Talk to us a little bit about that deal. That is like you're thinking, is this gonna be a one-time deal?
Yeah. So this
You know what I
deal,
mean?
man, like, I've been following up with this person for years.
Okay.
And I feel like I think this has to be God's work. This has to be God's work. There's no way it cannot be. Before COVID, I started with this deal, right? And at the beginning or towards the end of mind you, I've done wholesaling. I've advised investors during that time, but I did it as like a part-time. It wasn't like, this is what I do now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was a lender that had investment advice. I wasn't an investor
Okay.
who had lending advice. Like, the identity was
Yeah,
shifted.
yeah.
And 2 weeks before the end of the year, this is around Christmas time, everybody's not there, all there. Some guy calls me out of the blue. I think Chris was, I was having lunch with Chris. And Chris, we're talking about life, you know, how we usually do. And somebody called me out of the blue, and I'm like, man, this is a weird call. I didn't pick it up. Some guy was trying to do what I did. But since I had a communication from like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and I started thinking, I'm like, man, could this be? I mean, at the time, I was reading The Alchemist. And The Alchemist kind of like states that, you know, omens.
Okay.
An omen is anything you believe is an omen. And I'm like, I'm going to believe that this is an omen. This is a good sign. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just call these people. These people have been very difficult to deal with. But maybe this time is different.
Is this the same deal that you tried to do at the beginning with George?
No.
Whole different deal.
No, this is
Okay,
me
okay.
100%. George is years before that.
Okay.
After that deal in Miami Springs, I mean, my city of where we just, you know, he did his own thing, I did his own mine thing, and that's fine. And I'm like, man, let's give it a shot. I called the people, and for some reason, as if somebody was on my side, everything went exactly how I had it in my hand. A lot of struggles and like violations, and I had to do a permit. And the probate, I had to pay for out of pocket. There's a lot of expenses up front. I'm like, this is an investment. And next thing you know, a month later, off a deal that I never bought, never pulled my credit, didn't really need a license, made 90 grand. And
Wow. Oh, shit.
Which is almost
This
as
is a
much.
wholesale deal.
This is just a wholesale
that someone
deal.
calls you randomly. You're like, let me pick up this phone because I don't know what this could be.
No, because he was calling me because years before, you know, when somebody passes away and they have a house, you have to open a probate. And the probate is basically the legal proceeding of changing title from the dead person to the person that's alive or the heirs. Yeah, this is the simplest way I can put it. I think that's the way that Pace Morby says it. And there was no communications with the heirs at the time. But in the file, 2 years ago, my name was there.
Wow.
So they just called me. I'm like, hey, we're trying to get in contact with you because there's going to auction January 5th. The auction date has been set, meaning in January 5th, they're going to lose the house. And I'm like, man, this is Christmas time. They're going to lose the house. And I'm like, let me see what I could do. I call the people. Everything plans out. We go under contract. I go with the attorney. I negotiate to extend the foreclosure auction 30, 45 days out.
Okay.
We start the probate process. We have to finish it before the time, the auction date, because then we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Everything went to plan. As if somebody was pushing me. I learned so much during that process. Or like I relearned things I've already learned before. As if it's like an old sword. Yeah. And the sword is now getting cleaned and polished, and that's becoming what it was once before.
It compounded everything you learned.
At the same time, in a span of a month. And I'm like, after the deal closed, I'm like, this is surreal. I wasn't even going for it. And it happened. Imagine.
$90,000 deal in 1 month. Out of nowhere, after being involved in the industry for 4+ years, right? Insane. That's what people need to understand. And this is a key lesson in there. That deal came through because of work that you did 2 years ago. Because your name showed up on a file 2 years ago.
On a file lost in paperwork, if somebody was calling me to do what I did. And I'm like, thank you for giving me the heads up. I don't remember his name. He was a gringo guy. And I'm like, I decided that then and there, I think I spoke to you guys. I'm like, listen, change my name My name is not Ryan the realtor.
I'm not a realtor anymore. I'm not
loans
doing
by
loans.
Ryan. I am Ryan the
investor.
investor. All right, invest in what? I invest in real estate.
That's it.
Okay, like I said, we're gonna do it. And ever since then, I'm like, all right, let me start getting out of loans, make sure everybody's fine. And now what we're doing is, now we're actually, me and my partner David Moreno. I think you've met him.
Yeah.
And a lot of experience. And I've always known that to get into business like this, you need someone next to you that they have the repertoire. They have, hey, this kid is hungry, you know, and he has experience, but this kid is 10, 20, 30, 40 million dollars in transactions that he's done, and he's only lost one out of like 50 deals. Yeah. That's a good, and most of it not of his own money.
Wow. That's
so it's one of those things that is like, yeah, if you have a lot of money, you will never lose. But using hard money loans and private and seconds.
Yeah, that's how you learn, doing all these tricks.
And doing all of the things. And I'm like, man, and ever since then, and I met him, and I remember when I met him, I knew we're going to do business one day. Nice. 3 years later, we did.
So you guys partnered up right now?
Yeah, we're partnered up, and now we are buying. I see myself not as a wholesaler. Wholesaling is a strategy. If we don't like the deal for us to flip, now mind you, I'd rather make 40 now than 100 in 5 months. So it really depends. But sometimes the whole goal is, my goal, as it's always been, is to own 500 units. Okay. And I knew through loans, I was never even gonna come close to that. I'll probably be up 10 properties. You know, if I don't treat this like a full-time thing, I'll never get to the 500. Because how many people get to the 500? Not that many.
Not that many. And it's the vehicle that you're in.
And this is the thing.
That's so important, bro.
The vehicle at the time, I was in a nice car, but it wasn't a Ferrari. It wasn't. That wasn't an opportunity. And the thing is, you started talking about high tickets and like high margins, and I'm like, none in my loan business can I make more than 10 grand alone. No more. Like, that is the max.
You have a cap.
I have a cap. Here, I have no cap. Well, no, as you could tell. And now we have another deal. And then the other paradigm, I'm like, now I start walking properties and with the intent, before I never did this, with the intent of actually like, okay, now we got resources and now I have more financial awareness of what I can do and what I can do, and my partners and the access to the money we have from lenders. And I'm like, we could actually do deals. Like Ryan Valle can do deals. Revis
your
Partners
own deals.
can do deals.
Yeah, your own deals.
And I'm like, all right. So now I start walking properties with a whole different eyes. Before, I was just a shy kid. I was like, let's just do business. Try to start a business, you know. Now it's like, hey.
It's confidence. Your belief level.
You're looking at the buyer.
Yeah.
Which is a young.
It's you. You're getting you're gonna buy the deals.
Yeah. And then from there, we just, now we have, and the second paradigm, before we go to the next topic, the second paradigm was, I only thought the paradigm was, I can only do deals in properties where I could see them. Now we're doing a deal in Orlando that I never seen. Never went. All through phone. Wow. Spanish. And now at the beginning of May, everything has already been checked. We're ready to go. The company's going to make another $40,000.
In one deal.
And then through the release, it's not, the amount of money is more than what I made last year. But in the proportion of like the energy that I spent to get it.
And it's a lot more scalable. Like, you have no caps.
In this vehicle, I have no caps.
Which is what we were saying before. Like,
I was like this in the last vehicle. I felt like.
So it's like you were so tied up that it's like, I can't grow.
And you can't look over the fence like Richard Pritchard. Okay. From U Squared, he says like, listen, you don't have to start at the bottom. Yep. Right. Like, starting at the bottom may not always be the best, but in that business, in loans, to show in it, you can't like. You can't look what's outside the horizon. In this business, I'm like, all right, yes, no, let's do this one. No, let's not do this one.
Whole different perspective. It's the vehicle, bro, because people need to understand is like, you might be in the wrong vehicle. And if you stay in the wrong vehicle for too long, like, people get tired.
I was in it for 5 years.
Self-doubt kicks in, you know? And you're like, yo, where am I going with this? Like, would I make it? And then all this comes in, right? So it's like being able to get out of it, snap out of it, go into another vehicle is key. And always asking yourself this question is like, how scalable is this business? Always think about every business as a 10. That's how I like to think about it. It's like, if I can't scale this to $100 million, why would I even start? You know what I mean? Like, to make what? $100,000 a year? yeah, at the beginning, maybe a lot of people gotta do that. But like once you pass, it's phases.
Like,
So
can you do it?
Yeah. It's phases. It's like, you have to ask yourself, how scalable is the business? How much time and commitment is gonna need from me?
That's the other thing.
That's
Because I
fundamental.
can probably take loans to $1 million a year in revenue, no problem. But before I made the
Stress,
decision, I spoke to other people.
Mm.
In the best years. How much money did he make in 1 month?
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, listen, a todo meter, everything counted, net to me before paying everybody, 40 grand. And how did you feel in that month? And I'm like, man, it was chaos. And I'm like, okay, so almost every month, similar, some more, some more less. And I'm like, I don't want this
Not
lifestyle.
worth it.
I don't want
That's something I would recommend people to do. And it's like I did this before dropping out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Before dropping out, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm thinking, is this an $80,000 a year job that I'm studying for? Right? I was
Mm-hmm.
going to college for finance, and I asked around a few people. I was like, how much you make? 70K. Oh, how much you make? 60 starting, 80 potentially, and it
no,
made
80,
me,
but they take home 50.
right?
I'm like, all right, you
So
make
like,
50.
you
But that
make
was the other
50,
problem.
you make
With
50,
loans,
bro.
You make 200 grand or 150 grand, but you take 75 because you're one of the most hyped. I'm like, guys.
Exactly. So it's like I ask around too, and it's something I'll recommend people to do before getting like balls to the wall. Is like ask people that are in the same position that you're trying to be at to see if they have the lifestyle that you want to.
Maybe you're wrong.
Because you might be wrong. Look, I was wrong going to college. When I ask around, people say, I'm taking home 50, I'm taking home 70. I was doing 50 watching cars, bro. So for me,
Insane.
that was like, I'm a kid straight out of high school, no education, no knowledge of even business, because I didn't even know anything about business. I was just like knocking doors. You need your washer. I was just washing
You don't?
cars.
That car is disgusting.
No, you need a wash. And I was bringing in a good month, 4 or 5K a month. And then when this guy tells me, finance degree, you make 80 potentially at a bank, whatever, 100 tops, but you take home 70, 80, I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going to go to school for 6 years, 4 years, whatever, to like end up making a little bit more of what I'm making now, washing cars. It just makes no sense. And it goes back to what you were saying. You ask around. You're like, what lifestyle do you have? Like, you spending time with the family? Are you stressed? And you put that on a balance, right? People got to start doing that. We're going to commit to a business. Ask people that already have what you're trying to accomplish. And for me, that's one thing I love about this. That's one thing about trading. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I fail. I know where the potential of, the opportunities are.
It's limitless.
Everybody got to go back to that because you did. And that's what pushed you out of that hole. Because if you wouldn't ask these questions, you would like, I still want to make the 80K. But you gave yourself the chances. Like, I might be wrong. Let me ask.
Yeah, and I asked the question. But I knew the answer. I just wanted to confirm, and I'm like,
you want a confirmation.
I feel like people go to school to learn skills, right? That should be the intent. You're gonna be a doctor, man. You can't try and it doesn't work out. You gotta go to school. But there's a lot of things that like marketing, man, like through Ty Lopez and ClickFunnels and
it's a bunch
so
of
many
things out there.
courses that you could learn was at the tip of the spear from, because by the time it gets to school, it's so outdated that like you're still doing direct
100%.
mail.
100%, bro. Like, people got to understand, it's like when you go to school, you got to do the same thing. It's like whatever profession you're trying to go to school for, ask people that are doing what you're trying to do. Do they have the lifestyle you're trying to accomplish? If they're doing what you're trying to learn, did they learn it at school? Because maybe you're going for a marketing major because you see this guy doing marketing, but it's like that person didn't learn it at school.
No.
Right? So it's like I feel school is the same way. And everything you go in life, ask people that already been there. Like, mentorship is key. Ask people that have the results before you take that step. But I was super excited about this podcast, bro, because I really want to get into the nitty gritty.
All right, so let's get into
what
the
I mean? I
nitty-gritty.
really want to add value to those people out there that are making $100,000, $500,000 a month, $1 million a month. I want to ask you the questions on real estate, the nitty gritty, like as an investor, because we talked to Joe and his different perspective. He's in the loan industry. I know you have a lot more experience when it comes to investing. So 2 topics I want to go like heavy on to understand them myself and to make sure investors out there, you know what I mean, they get a little more information. One is wholesaling, which is what you're doing right now. You explain a little bit about the process, but how can you scale this business as a wholesaler, right? Like, what is the behind the scenes going on as a wholesaler? That's first. I want to start there.
A wholesaler. Okay, so you should never be a wholesaler. What you should do is learn how to wholesale. Wholesale is just another tool in your tool belt. It should never be your identity. Oh, I'm just a wholesaler. Because then that will feed into your identity and you speak as like, hey. Wholesaling is a strategy. Like flipping is a strategy. An ovation is a strategy. A seller finance is a strategy.
Oh, we're going there.
Those are all just tools. Like a good contractor has hammers, drills, esto, lo otro. But a really shitty contractor, and you could tell when they do shitty work, is they just don't have all the tools. They're usually cheaper, but they suck. You gotta redo it again. So my advice is don't be a wholesaler. Learn how to wholesale. That should be an exit, right? Everything in real estate is like investing. How do you get in? How do you get out? How do you get in and how do you get out? And if you can't get out, it's like going to a room and they've locked all the doors around you. So what happens when when it crumbles?
Yep.
You die.
Yep.
And we've spoken about this many times. And the first time we spoke about it, real estate was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I was just naive. I just didn't know. Now
didn't know
with real estate, there's infinite returns and whatever. The point is, learn how to wholesale because you can actually make $10, $15, $20, $30,000 without a problem. I made 90, we're making 40, and I've done this already part-time from deals that I haven't even looked for. I just know about the strategy. So if you're a realtor, you should really know about wholesaling because you can add an additional $30, $40, $50,000 and you didn't really know. So learn how to do that. And I'm not gonna teach you, but there's billions of videos on YouTube on how to do it. But the other things where there's actual real money is wholesaling is there's real money, flipping there's real money, right?
Have you done any flipping yet yourself?
Myself, no, but my partner has done over, I think, $30, $35, $40 million in flips between partners and
totally.
the whole 9 yards, and all types of houses. So I've always, when it comes to the flipping part, I've always learned it secondhand. Wholesaling, I've done it firsthand. Seller finance, I've done it firsthand. Those are the main things that we've done already. Now, flipping is my next paradigm.
Okay.
That is the one I've come close many times, but obviously I'm in a position right now to pick and choose the deals. That's why I wanted to learn how to scale, how to get like leads, clientele, so I can be able to pick and choose because the deals that are on the open market, they suck, most of them. Unless you're on it 24/7, you have tons of competition. There's really no negotiation, and what kills the deal most of the time is the realtor. So you're trying to negotiate a deal for you or for a client, and the realtor is doing their job, but as an investor, it always almost ruins it because they have their false notations of like, like they what realtors want is they want to look good to their client. They want to make as much money as they can, and they don't want any problems. So usually, if the numbers make sense, that's what a lot of investors will tell you. If the numbers make sense, we'll buy it. That's not true. Investors focus on the numbers, but they also leverage their experience.
Yeah.
And that's
people buy you. They don't buy the numbers.
They buy you. So like, let's say I've worked with investors and I tell them, listen, and I've done it so many times already that I'll tell you, this house will sell for this. You need this amount of money to fix it. And I'm off very little. $5,000, $10,000, which for a rehab is nothing. And you're going to sell it for this price. You buy it at this price, and this is what you're going to make. Yeah. I've done that so many times that I can look at the property and my gut will tell me, all right, this is the numbers.
This is a good property. This is the numbers.
This is a terrible property. Even the price is good, but the project will take 6 months, 9 months, because I'm like...
The repairs, to this, to that, too much.
Something that doesn't make sense to do all that stuff. So like right now, we're looking at a deal close to here or in Broward County, and I'm like, we might get it at a good number, and we're negotiating going back and forth, but if we do get it, that's a project where I can pick and choose, and I'm like, I'm going to take out the tool of wholesaling it, because if I flip it, I could probably make more than... any of one of us have made, but it will take so long.
So let me understand basically kind of like your funnel. So basically you have deal flow, right? You're trying to build a system to scale.
Easy. I'm going to make a short, sweet, to the point. Real estate, there's two ways of getting deals. There's inbound, which are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're paying for ads and stuff like that, which is what we're doing now.
Okay.
Second is outbound.
Mm-hmm.
You're reaching to them. Outbound is cheaper. Takes longer, which that's not something I wanted to do. And it takes so much time to get a deal that sometimes once you get the deal,
it's already done.
You're only focused on the deal. And what happens is you don't focus on getting more business and you focus so much on that deal. And even when you get a deal, it's not guaranteed it's going to close. You still have lien and title. And if something out of the blue happens, you're stuck. And now you have to redo that again. Inbound with Facebook leads and Google leads, stuff like that, it takes a little more setup.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a little more upfront capital. But obviously, with Christian, the past, and all these people with credit, this is the best way to do it.
Credit is a great leverage.
No,
right?
I was against it before. And then now I'm like, this is definitely a big tool. This is definitely a big tool.
You gotta use it.
And thanks, I'm leveraging that to like, all right, now we're getting deals coming to us from all throughout Florida, from Daytona to Orlando. This is an Orlando deal I never saw, and the numbers make sense to the investor. Hey, because we see every deal not as a wholesaler, we see it as an investor. So we see it as like, okay, an investor will make this type of profit. The problem with wholesalers is they do their little MAO, whatever offer. They learned on YouTube and like, all right, great.
Yeah.
We're selling the property for $300,000. It's worth $500,000. It needs about $2,000 in rehab. You're gonna make $198,000.
Easy money, right?
Easy money.
Anybody can wholesale.
Jamonata. And then when you see pictures, it has no roof. So, or like they said, oh, it's worth $500,000, but anybody who has 2 cents knows it is not. It's $400,000, and it doesn't need $2,000. It needs $80,000.
Yep.
So like, since you learn how to be an investor, learn how to run those numbers, and you'll learn how to wholesale naturally. If you just focus on wholesaling, it's just one tool, and most deals you can't wholesale. Sometimes you have to buy them. Sometimes you have to wholesale. Sometimes you have to do seller finance.
This is what I love about this, because I'm getting like I'm understanding now your business, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you're looking at it as an investor. You have a deal flow, however you do it, inbound, outbound. You get X amount of deals, and then based on the deal, then you determine what toolbox do you use. Do I go wholesale on this deal? Can I go seller finance? Should I flip it? Okay.
Do I buy it to Airbnb? Mind you, my philosophy on Airbnb, it has to be, I haven't done it yet, but I know overseen so many times, so many people advertising, and I run the numbers so many times. If I were to do it, it has to be a unique experience. It has to be a unique property, it has to be funky.
Not just a property in the middle of nowhere.
It can't just be another townhouse in Hialeah. It has to be like, maybe it is in the area, but it's like, it has this weird feng shui. It's painted in a certain way. It has like skylights. And I'm like, wow, it has a cool, funky pool. It has a weird backyard. So here's how it works. Deals come in, right? We have an ISA, reach out to them initially. Once the ISA has kind of pre-screened them a little bit.
What's ISA? Like an assistant?
It's a virtual assistant. Okay. And since, mind you, we're doing all of our advertising in Spanish. We don't do any advertising in English. Marketing. No, because I decided, this is from learning from marketing stuff. I'm like, where do I have an edge? And I encourage you have to find your edge. If you speak Creole,
that's your edge.
That's your edge, man. Like, yeah, there's a lot less people, but the few that are, they're all yours. You have no competition. So I'm like, man, there's so many culicagaos who are doing all these advertising on Google, and I can't compete with them. They got so much more money, but they're doing it in English.
You found your edge.
They probably can't compete in Spanish. And I'm like, let me do this in Spanish. Good. And luckily, I'm really good with my Spanish, and so is my partner, and that's our edge. So we're doing balls to the wall with Spanish. We get the deal. ISA reaches out to them. They also speak Spanish. Great Spanish. Their Spanish is the first language, so it's even better for me. It's not something they have to learn. And they do preliminary, so when they transfer it over to us, we're already put on a pedestal of like, I'm working
edification
in a way. Like, I'm gonna transfer you to the guy, which now okay, the person already is aware. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to the head honcho.
Yeah.
And there is when I speak to them to see what their problem is. Most people, and I've learned this from Pace Morby as well, and it helps, man. It really does, man, with life and everything. A certain way of selling that the prospect or the client or the seller sells themselves. Like they do self-discovery and they realize that working with you is the best option. Instead of you force feeding down their throat, like, I am the best option.
Pitch.
Yeah. Overcome. It's just, imagínate, no.
You go into battle right away.
You're going to battle right away. There's no Nissan. It's like a dance. A dance, you give a little, take a little, give a little, take a little, right? You're never too eager. Even if they say something that you're like, no, let me think about it. It's always calm.
Keep it calm.
Even though you have it.
You're like, close the deal. Don't give it too much. Stay calm.
The best way I can explain this when people who are starting to real estate or investing or wholesaling or whatever the case may be, I consider it a lot like fishing.
Okay.
Right? And I learned this from the Sandler method that there's a young fisherman and an old fisherman. The young fisherman go fishes. He rarely catches anything and maybe one fish a day, whatever. And the old guy always has a string full of fishes. Like those strings that you put through your mouth. And you carry it and it's full of fishes. And it doesn't work that much. He's there 2 hours, and he's out. Kind of coming back to the point of like, you could get more with less. It's not more with more. It's the idea is more with less. So, and then the kid asks him, hey, how do you do it? Like, what's the deal? In a more nicer way. Old man says, okay, how do you fish? Like, what happens when you throw the line in the water? People, how do you do it when you start the conversation? Oh, no, when I throw the line in the water, when I feel a nibble, I yank it. I yank the rod. And the old man says, does that work for you? And I'm like, well, sometimes, but most times no. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes you just break the line, right? Yeah, okay. The old man says, do you know what happens down there when you throw the line in the water? Or the amateur says no. The old guy says, okay, this is what happens. When you throw the line down there, the fish swings up to it and tries to kill it. So that's the nibble you feel. What do you do then? No, I yank it. No, it's too soon. It's too soon.
If you pull it right away, the fish is going.
Exactly. They're scared. They're trying to see it. They're trying to test, trying to kill it.
Yeah.
And then it makes a lot of commotion, right? This is where you let the line a little bit. You let the hook sink. As like they're getting confidence in the fish gets confidence in what's happening. And then after that, what happens when that starts creating commotion and that fish sees that what happens when there's food there? What happens to the other fishes? They start coming. Hey, I want to get a piece. So what happens to the fish who saw it? He takes it to his home or to his...
Yeah.
And that's where he puts it in his mouth officially. And that's where you have to give a little more slack. And while he's going down there, you pull.
Pa afuera, todo el mundo!
And you hook it every time. It has to be with a little bit of patience because sometimes people speak and like they're speaking to someone and they feel like they're a buyer.
Yeah.
And in real estate, it's always, and when I speak to people, it's always people like...
The point is, go in there, be patient. And even if you feel that the deal is closed,
you make sure...
Don't just like bite right away. Don't pull right away. Make sure it's like solid and then he's in there, that fish is in there.
No, the whole thing, you can see the hook exactly on the edge of the mouth. So, and there's discovery questions. Everybody knows that stuff. But it's a way of like, hey, it's more of a conversation because if they don't have an immediate problem that I can solve, because I see myself as a problem solver, then investor, and then all these tools. Right?
Okay.
If they don't have a problem you can't solve, they're not going to do business with you.
So you get on the call, you try to figure out what problem do you guys have, why are you trying to sell the house, this and that. You have your questions.
The question would be like, something similar to like, man, you have a great house. I don't see why you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
There's another way of saying, why are you selling your house? Because if I say, why are you selling your house? You're going to be like, because I want to. Kevin guy. So,
wow.
I'm like, all right. But if you say, man, that's awesome. I just don't see how you, help me understand. Why are you trying to sell? It's a more like
smooth.
Very smooth. And smooth in sales and in business and in life, you go faster.
Yep.
Like for example, like
I learned that. Cut you up really quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
I learned that in skydiving in the tunnel. When you're in the tunnel and you're trying to fly, you see, it's like skills. You learn a little bit of everything in the tunnel. Smooth is fast. Because the more you relax. Right, the more like calm that you are, the more the easier it is to flow in there. Right, if you like get tense, it took me forever to learn because I'm like, oh shit,
trying to fight the wind.
You get tense, and you try to fight the wind. Then you're probably gonna like boom. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's smooth as fast. That's what people need to understand sometimes. And when it comes to sales, it helps a lot to consult. to ask, to see
You're
what
an
other people
advisor.
need.
You're a consultant, and they'll eventually be like, "Hey, why don't we do business together?" You know, sometimes sometimes the conversation they bring it upon themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done the other way around.
Mm.
Anybody who's in sales knows that the traditional way is you speak, you build rapport. Pretty
Yeah,
dog,
yeah.
all that crap. Nobody gives a damn. And then pitch. Stop. They don't talk at all, which is a bad thing. And then, all right, let me hear the objections. Let me overcome this. Let me overcome this, bro. It's like it's a battle. It shouldn't be a battle. It shouldn't be a battle. It should be like a dance
I like that.
that we both enjoy.
I like that.
So
you get the leads, you know, you qualify the customer, you talk to the client, and it's like, all right, you know, why are you trying to sell the house, X, Y, C? Then how do you figure it out? What tool are you going to use? Like, is it going to be wholesaler? Is it going to be seller finance? How do you figure that out?
So it really depends on the deal and it depends on what they're looking for. So if they need the cash right away, obviously seller finance is not a good deal because seller finance would require them to leave.
Yeah.
They're exchanging equity into a loan.
Okay.
Kind of what I was explaining to you. They have $300,000. They're selling a property for $300,000. I tell you, listen, man, if they don't need the money right away, or if they're older and they want to sell it because they want to get rid of it, but I would ask them, hey, your retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I go, how are you going to retire? You're not going to rent it? You have any other properties? No, I don't. But how would you like to make some income here and not deal with any other properties?
Seller finance.
I'm like, listen.
Boom.
And I tell them, when have you ever heard that the bank loses? Banks never loses. Banks are at the top of the totem pole.
And then
landlords
you
at the bottom.
customize your pitch
Yeah,
based on what they want.
Exactly. Instead of pitching, I got this.
Because what happens with a lot of people, what you said earlier, is they focus on just one tool. They just go wholesale, or they just go seller finance, or they just go, you know, flipping.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you can't flip, boom, disqualify the deal.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You can't flip. We do seller
Think
finance.
of a contract.
Don't want to do seller finance. We wholesale. There's a full
and the
toolbox.
last thing we'll do is, all right, man, we'll list the house for you. We'll get it done because yo te voy a sacar algo. We're going to do some business because eventually what will happen is, let's say we don't mind listing the property. Listing a property is like the easiest thing in the world. Right? There's not a lot of work. Throw some pictures, put it on the MLS, some fancy dance, and that's it. But you make something out of it. But listings are also a good opportunity to meet other investors. Because if you have an investment listing...
seeds. If you have a full catalog of listings, now you get calls.
Exactly.
Start meeting investors.
Listings.
Yeah.
If you get an investment listing that, hey, listen, they are no need to sell. Someone who should put the property on the market or work with you, it's never going to be either or. Like if the property is remodeled, they're not in a financial pinch, they just want money for it, you're never going to be an option for it. The only thing you could offer them is a list. It's nonsense for you to fool people.
Yeah.
You can't fool them. Some of them know that I can't put it on the market because I don't have enough money to fix a roof. So like they know, and this is why like you help them discover like, hey, and you never make them feel bad.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you make them feel better. So
to basically focusing on what their potential could be. Instead of focusing on like, you know, there's a weakness, you don't have money, you don't have this, you don't have that. No, let me figure it out. How can we make this work and optimize whatever your value is that you have now.
Exactly. And what we're pitching now to people who we buy homes from is ask them always, hey, you know, in the near future, who do you think you would recommend if you have a family member who's going through the same situation? Obviously, I know the answer at that time is going to be me, but I want them to confirm.
Yep.
And the other thing is, when in investments and wholesaling, you always want a big Rolodex of people you can call on. In this business, it's not enough for you to be by yourself. You need a Monique, you need a title company, you need an attorney. Not only do you need an attorney for one thing, you need an attorney for 3-4 things: evictions, probates, short sales.
Shout out to Monique, by the way.
Oh,
shout
out to Monique.
Attorney,
Thank you. And then
I put you on in there. She's amazing.
Yeah. But here's the thing: she introduced me to some other probate attorneys, and I have another probate attorney right now. This is where people can get some deals. When someone goes to probate, usually they inherit a property, and Florida, I don't know if you know this, is the silver state.
No idea.
Silver state means viejo.
Okay.
So that means, and usually when you hear people retire, where do they usually retire to? Sunny states.
Yep.
So they're from Michigan, Colorado.
West Palm, Florida. They're all South Florida.
Right? But they do Florida.
Yeah.
So Florida is usually like a retirement thing.
Okay.
Most retirees, if they have some sort of money, they come down here. Their family doesn't come down here. They stay up there, but they die here. So what happens? You live in Michigan, and you have no connotation of the values over here. You may have an idea, but the property here, that same property over there, you're so anchored that like, bro, it's a 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
The house in Detroit or Michigan or whatever the case is, a 150. That can't be worth more than 160, 170. But it may be worth $500,000, $400,000. You just don't know. So I speak to these property attorneys. Like, listen, and I learned this, through Pace Morby as well. Like, hey, how would you like to make more money with less effort?
Okay.
Property attorney says, how? And I'm like, great. Every time there's a probate, there's a deal there's a piece of real estate in the way, right? I'm like, yeah, it has to, because there's assets. There have to be assets. Then you can do a probate. If you die, you have nothing. It's an easy probate. You don't need anything. But most of them have a house. And I'm like, okay, so let me ask you a question. How would you like to benefit from the person who actually buys the house? Like, how would I do that? And I'm like, listen, we are willing to work with you in a fee to make this legal and above the board and above the table. That if you're working with a client or an estate and they have this property and everybody knows it's in disrepair, like it's or like they need it and they don't know what to do with it, tell them, hey, they could reach out to me, and if we can cut to a deal, whatever your fee is, I'll double it.
Boom. That's value.
So, and then I'll tell them, listen, it's the same thing.
So you're basically using these attorneys that they get, obviously, the deals, they come their way because, someone died and there's a house, there's know what to do with it, probate, whatever.
Happens all the time.
You're using these attorneys to funnel into leads, to get you leads.
Like a referral partner, and tell them, listen.
Referral partner. That's bro, genius.
Let's say you do one estate, one probate, you charge them $5,000 because it's a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so by law, of math, for you to make another $5,000, if you stick to that same business model, you have to do another probate and do all the paper. You have to do twice the amount of work. How would you like to
make more?
Make the same.
Doing less.
Make double with the same. And at the end of the day, I have no problem paying these attorneys what they need.
Because you're one of those deals could make you $40K, $50K.
Eventually, it doesn't matter if it comes through them, if it comes somewhere else, I'm gonna pay for it. Either with time, energy, or money.
Yeah, because
money.
It's how you're getting your leads. So maybe you gotta put $2,000-$3,000 in Facebook ads to be able to get one qualified lead like what he's getting you, right? So either way, that's like marketing budget for you.
Exactly. So I'm like, listen, I have no problem, and this is a guarantee. Hey, listen, if it's a good deal, and I'm not looking for people. I'm not looking for deals that I'm gonna cut them at the knees. I'm talking about I want a deal that everybody's okay.
Fair deal. Everybody wins. Fair deal.
Everybody wins. There's no bad blood or anything like that. So. And one last piece of advice, or when you're going
we're going.
We have time. Do we have time?
There's time. There's value here.
Okay. So in this business, you do need leads, and you have to find your strength. You have to find your avatar. And there's inbound and outbound. And me and David, we looked at each other and we're like, we could cold call. We've done it so many times.
Yeah.
But can we consistently do it? Probably no. And I'm like, because if you're doing that, you can't really focus on the bigger picture because you're in the trenches. In the trenches, you have no sight. You're in the trenches. And I'm like, can't do that. Because then I just went from one job to another job. And I'm like, but I'm glad I know how to do it. So our next phase.
You need to go Sunday's event.
Huh?
You need to go to
Sunday's event.
Yeah. Because I'm about to break down some stuff.
I'm going to Sunday's event, and I'm like, nah, I need a cold caller for this. And then I'm like, I'm getting a cold caller. In this business, in real estate, you can make good money, but you have to have access to some capital, either through your own cash, savings, investors, or credit card. You have to have.
You need capital. You need capital.
You need some sort of capital. And in this business, it's easier, so much easier. I think in any business. Pay for speed.
Yep.
I could have easily tried to do Facebook ads on my own and save like, I don't know, 10 grand or whatever.
Speed wins the race. Success loves speed.
Yo, if I do this, it'll probably take a year and a half and I'll still waste so much money and we never have a deal. So let's just pay some other company who'll do it. And then maybe by paying them, we'll learn faster. I'm like, all right, we did that. And
bro, it's speed. People out there You need to understand success loves speed.
Yes.
Whenever you're launching a business, whenever you're building a business, you need to move fast. Because the mistakes you catch them earlier. When you fail, you learn faster. You're launching a podcast, film 10 in 10 days. You're gonna learn everything that took people months in fucking 10 days. I have learned how to move files around, media, this, all of that. And now you're building your business. I love to see you growing. Go fast, bro. We're about to go fast. And that's what people need to understand. The faster you go, the faster you learn, the faster you're able to fix the mistakes. And when you stack up so many wins, your confidence level just...
No, it's like a train. A train with enough momentum, like you were saying before yesterday.
Momentum.
Enough momentum at the beginning. Like if a train is standstill and you put like a little rock in front of the train, it won't move anywhere. But if you move the rock and you give the train some speed,
the rock won't do shit to it.
You can put an elephant. You can put another train. If it's an idle,
out the
move
way,
the train and get the hell out of the way.
Out the way.
It's like, bro, like either you get on the bus or get out of my way. And if you don't get out of my way, you're gonna get run over by the bus.
Let's go. Let them know. Put them on.
Man.
I'm excited to see you grow.
It's long overdue, but I'm glad it didn't take another 10 years.
Hey, bro, we're John. You're 25.
Yeah.
He's 25 right there. Look what you're building. I'm 25 as well. We're just getting started. One thing I realized in that Dubai trip a few weeks ago, we are the next generation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are the people that in 10, 15 years from now
own the world.
You know, you have your 5,000 units, 2,000 units. You have, like, there's no rush, bro. There's no rush. I used to be like the one.
Ain't no rush.
I used to be the one that is like, yeah, I need to make it by like next month. Which is okay because I grew a lot. I met, you know, I had exponential growth because I was doing that. But now I'm a little bit more focused on the everyday because I enjoy more the process. And then I'm like, it don't matter if next month I don't make the $1 million. My goal was doing $1 million a month. I'm like, I haven't gotten to that point. And it don't matter if next month I don't make it because I enjoy every minute of what I'm doing right now. I'm building. And I know that eventually we'll get there.
Exactly. And that was something that I was lacking before. I was completely lacking. I thought I'm very impatient. And you want to be impatient as like you want to get things going right away. You don't want to wait too long. But then when you do start doing them, you can't just leave it in 2 minutes. You got to give it some time to either prove you right or prove you wrong. You know, you got to give them enough time. And like building a fence, it doesn't take 6 years to build a fence, but it doesn't take 2 minutes. It's somewhere between them. You know, everything has its own time. And like how the Jewish people, the Jewish community say, a fence that's built up fast falls down fast. So
I like that.
If it takes a year to do it. Try to do it faster. But it's okay if it doesn't take a long. Try to do it faster. But as we were saying before, I learned this through piano. What a stupid lesson to learn through piano.
You're learning.
And
you're continuously learning. This is what's good about a skill sets. When you keep on stacking up on a skill set, you keep adding on things. It helps you keep your mind in a creative state.
Oh. And there's really more creative than learning an instrument.
Yeah. Whatever it is. I learned how to fucking skydive. Like, whatever you're learning.
Skydiving is art.
Yeah. So it's like, when you're adding on skill sets and languages and learning and getting uncomfortable, your mind is continuously in a creative state. So ideas flow better, right? So it's piano. Like, bro, you've been playing piano. I heard you playing great. I heard you went to like the show with Tiffany and all that.
That's nothing. In a few months, it will be so refined. It will be so refined. But I learned that lesson of smooth because everybody, when they get excited, they start to go fast. Oh, se embullan. And what happens is, I've always been told, or I've always learned that practice makes perfect, which is not entirely correct. Practice makes whatever you're doing permanent. So what happens is, this is what usually happens. In a business, you try to go so fast or faster than what you can actually learn, and you start taking shortcuts to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
And you create a habit of just doing the shortcuts to fill in the gaps. But now you're so deep into it, for you to get out of it, it's so hard. You have to unlearn so many habits to relearn them. So my piano instructor says, listen, stop. It's better to go super slow so that the brain can capture and you do it and you have that. Like, for example, when you're playing sports, something happened, you got to think about what to do and then you do it.
Yeah.
Right? This thinking slows everybody down. The greatest athletes don't think, they just do. Because they've already seen it. So write that down.
No, read it.
Don't think, just
It's
do.
there,
But
bro.
the only way to don't think is to have done it so many times.
Yeah,
That's best. It's like as repetition, but do it in a way that is correct as best as you can. Obviously, to the point that when you're having these conversations with these sellers or with these agents or with these investors, you don't have to think about it. It's just kind of
it just flows. That's who you are. You let your creative mechanism do the talking.
Exactly.
Instead of like thinking about what is he gonna say, what am I gonna say about this?
It's like water.
You just let it flow. Let it flow.
And then and what he would state was, you gotta go too fast. You build those with wrong habits, and then your talents may only take you so far, but you can't go to the next level because then you can't build on that. It's like building a house on sand. Like you can't build on it. Like it gets to the point that like you're gonna have to unlearn, and it's gonna take you even longer. So he says, go slow, go at the right tempo, and what happens is naturally, you'll go faster.
Starts flowing.
You'll go way faster. As a matter of fact, you start playing, and you may look over here for something because someone says something. You're still playing. And you don't notice because your fingers.
Yeah, it becomes you. It's in your subconscious mind already.
It's already there.
Like you already learned the bit. Like you know, it just flows. It took me like a good 2 days, maybe 3 days, to get off the net and the tunnel. To learn
to get off the net.
Off the net. To get off the net, bro. After those 2 days, it was normal. But it took me 2 days to literally just get off the net, and then like after that, I just get in there, boom. And obviously, I'm learning next few things to do. But it's crazy. Like once it's like your subconscious mind, it clicks and it's like, I got it. I know how to do this. You don't even have to think about it anymore. No. It just flows.
You just do it better. And that's why I decided, like, this is one of the other things. I'm a guy that I'm a very curious guy. I always ask a bunch of questions, and some of them are stupid questions. But at the time, I need to know. I want to know. But then I'm very curious, and I always want to learn more, or like, that's why I've always wanted to learn piano, but in my old businesses, never really had the time to really learn that.
Now you have time to actually go and enjoy
to do that type of stuff.
And
actually be there.
Boom. That's awesome, bro. I'm excited to see where you take this business to next. And I'm excited to see you grow personally, because I feel when you go down this path where it's like it's time to grow, like you grow in every area of your life.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm excited to see that. I had a blast and you know, this few minutes, an hour or so. And there's a lot of value in there. I learned a lot of things when it comes to, you know, what we talked about, the infrastructure that we're going to talk after this, because I really like what you got going on. You know what I mean? And, you know, wholesaling, seller finance, so much information that people don't know. And a podcast usually like this could open up their eyes to ideas that you already implemented, they already work, right? So they can put it in place to work right away. So I love that. And one thing that I do ask, you know, kind of like to wrap up the podcast is, it's 2 questions. I'm pretty sure you have heard them from Pace Morby. I got this from him at the event. And it's, what do you have? What do you need? So if there's someone out there, you know, that has what you need, what is it? And what do you have to offer people, you know, right now that you can add value?
So what do you have?
What do you need?
Right now, what I have is the information needed to succeed in investing in real estate.
Boom! Love it.
That's what I have. Somebody comes from me from scratch. I could bring them up to speed. That's what I have. Do I have $1 billion on the transaction on my belt? No, but I know a lot more than the average person, and that is where I can offer a lot of value. And anybody who knows me, and if you're in the real estate world, man, I can talk about real estate
all day. I can feel it.
We're
probably gonna have to do another one of this.
But more specific topic.
Yeah.
But man, and what do I need? I haven't been asked that question.
Hey, good questions, bro. This is Manny Talks.
What do I need?
We got good questions in here.
What do I need?
Bro, this fucking mic.
It's not cooperating.
Bro, it's not working with me. What do you need? Talk to me. I need a mic. If you ask me what do you need, I need this thing good to work. You know what I mean?
Right now, what we're looking for right now is, in the near future, I plan on creating a fund to invest in these type of deals that I don't like to go through lenders or private. You know, it's easier. You want to
have your own money in-house.
It's easier when when I can say at the end of the year, hey guys, thank you for trusting in me. We've made 30%, 20%, whatever. You guys are still partners. We've exited all our projects in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And you're still making cash flow, and now we're gonna buy other stuff and stuff like that. And that is probably what I'll need.
So what do you
in the
need?
future.
Investors?
People to get in contact with so that they could get in a conversation with us
To set up the fund.
to set up. the
You need
money.
to join the mastermind because I'm dropping that in there, bro. You know what I mean? In the mastermind that we're putting together, right? It's 7 steps. 7 weeks of like, well, we talked about this. 7 steps, whatever. At the end, on module A, week A, I'm breaking down all the infrastructure, everything you need to know on how to set up a hedge fund, internationally or domestic fund. So you need to join the mastermind. I'm just letting you know. You need to be in the mastermind.
If you don't join the mastermind, Ryan, you're dumb. All
Yeah,
right?
bro,
It is.
because it's like I'm putting everything in there, and a hedge fund, the hedge fund model, it is the perfect way for anybody and everybody to scale their business model, no matter what it is that you're doing. If you're making money, there's people out there that will give you money for you to go make them money.
Exactly.
Simple. And I feel the hedge fund, understanding the hedge fund model, understanding the infrastructure, legal setup, all of that. Bro, I paid over $30,000 just to learn this information. So, I got you. We're going to make some money.
Ese
So-
man que está.
Bro, that mastermind is going to be, I'm telling you, bro, because we're dropping like everything in there. Everything. I'm not cutting back. So, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be big. So
No, I know it is. Anything you do is great.
I'm excited. I appreciate that. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see where you take this, and I'm excited. Yeah, hedge fund information, investors. Just hit him up. Where can they find you? Where can people find you?
Well, no, as of right now, I'm off of social media for some time.
Okay, detox. We're doing a detox.
I mean, it's been a pretty long detox. But they can shoot me an email. They can shoot me, or they can just contact me through WhatsApp or through my phone number. But the best way to do it is through Instagram. I'm out of it, but every now and then I do check in to see what's going on.
So we're gonna drop your information. We're gonna drop your information down below. Email. I wouldn't drop your phone number, bro, to be honest, because we're gonna have a lot of viewers. So I don't want people to be hitting you up. So we'll drop your email. We'll drop your social media accounts in here. And one thing, just to piggyback on what you said and wrap up the podcast, guys, go ask the questions. Like, go reach out to Ryan. Go reach out to me. Go reach out to the people that you're seeing here on the podcast. Because if you're being able to see, and now you're going to see it on the podcast, like everybody that I asked those 2 questions is like, I'm ready to mentor people. I want to help people. But people don't ask the question. People don't reach out. Why? Because it's like, and this is why one of the reasons we're doing this is because I want to put you on a stage. Because you got a great story. You got a lot of experience. You got a lot to add value to people. But people don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know that, right? So now it's like people know that they don't need to talk to Grant Cardone to know how to flip a house.
Exactly.
Grant Cardone is going to charge you $100,000 to teach you like the most minimal thing. But you can reach out to Ryan and he will still help you.
No, and
it's about the same information.
It's the same information, guys.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, for example, there's a lot of people that, and I still, like, some people call me out of the blue, hey, listen, I got this deal or whatever. I have no problem telling you, you have a good deal on your hands. Or you have a baja mental.
Or you
don't have any deal. You're wasting you're spinning your tires. It doesn't make any sense for you. But the other thing is, a lot of people right now, they have money. Everybody I've spoken to, everybody wants to invest in real estate. They've always heard, oh, real estate. But the number one question is, how the hell do I get started?
Yep, that was my question.
And what is the best way with what you're at right now? So I've done this a lot of times. If wherever you're standing right now, sometimes you're very far away, and I'll tell you, listen, my friend, you should not be focused on investing in real estate. You should be focused on making more money.
Boom. That's what I tell people. If you're starting out, you have $20K in your bank account, you shouldn't even be thinking about buying a house.
You should not be thinking about doing any of that. Increase that skill first, and then for you to diversify something and do investments, you have to have something to diversify. If you ain't got a thing, you ain't got nothing. And there's a lot of people right now that are probably watching this that are outside of the country. And I have seen this a lot. There's a lot of people from Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Argentina is having like an economic meltdown. And a lot of them are coming over here and they're looking for people to invest deals in.
So there's money.
That's why South Florida is kind of like, it's hard for anything to crash. It's hard. Can it happen? It's possible. But it's very hard because it's known that when we are sick or we have a cough, like the United States, the rest of the world has pneumonia. They're dying. So anybody who has a lot of money in Argentina, they're not concerned about making a lot of money. They're concerned about preserving their wealth. So they come here and they start investing into properties, but they don't really know. real estate is one of those things that if you don't have someone to work with, man, like, you're going to blow a lot of money and make no money in return.
And in every business. Most businesses is like that. Because if you don't have the right mentorship, the right guidance, you're going to blow money. That's why people need to pay to be in this circles, to be in these environments. Because what you said, speed up the process.
You can try to do it yourself.
Yeah,
but you're going to pay eventually, probably with more money.
Yeah, 100%. Because the money that you're paying trial and error, you could literally pay it to someone that has the experience and the results. Don't be paying someone that is just like,
They just started 2 weeks ago and they saw 4 YouTube videos.
Yeah.
No. That's not the case.
Results, proven track record, proven results. Pay the money, get to learn what they already learned because, bro, it's experience. You're paying for that. So, bro, I had a blast.
I did, bro.
It was a great time.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
And we're definitely gonna have to do this again. I want to bring you in the inner circle. To talk a little bit more into like deal structure, break down seller finance, and opportunities that might open up with the people inside of the circle and bring you deals, right? I want to figure out the best way to collaborate and add value to everybody inside there. But yeah, man, it was a pleasure having you.
It's always a pleasure, bro.
Definitely, bro, we had a, and it's good to see the growth and where we're taking this. I'm excited.
The growth is definitely long overdue, bro.
Is there anything, just to wrap it up, anything that you wish I'd ask you that I didn't? Anything that you want to talk about or anything that you want to put out there?
At the moment right now, probably not.
Amazing.
It's been a lot, but I'm pretty sure
a lot of information. But hey, guys, if you have any questions for him, just make sure to reach out. Let him know what's up. Let him know, bro, this mic is being annoying. But listen, we're going to wrap it up. That was another episode of Manny Talks with Ryan, the investor.
You better.
Right?
Exactly.
No loans, no real estate, like investor Ryan. Amazing infrastructure that he's putting together. And amazing. I'm glad, I'm excited to see the growth. So that was another episode. That's a wrap. If you have any questions, make sure to hit us up. His information is down below. Go follow him. And make sure to click that subscribe button because we're bringing you the best of the best. We're bringing you people that are actually going through the journey, that are starting in the journey, and that have actually accomplished amazing results. It's not just the 7-figure, the 8-figure earner. We're bringing you a little bit of everything, so that's why I'm excited about this content. Go subscribe, give us that like button, and we will see you on the next episode that we're actually filming within an hour. So we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.